My name is Ariana Cole, I'm 22 years old, the second daughter in the Cole family, an American household that likes to brand itself as traditional, yet operates more like a one-person monarchy. My brother, Daniel, he's 30, married to a woman who disliked me from the very first moment we met. Megan, the self-appointed queen of the Cole home. A woman who genuinely believes that marrying my brother gave her ownership of the house, the rules, and apparently the oxygen we breathe. I used to keep my distance from both of them, until the day they decided my quietness was disrespect and my brother crossed a line I never expected. The morning everything shifted. It was early Saturday, sunlight barely touching the edges of the kitchen. I walked in wearing an oversized hoodie, hair scraped into a messy bun, planning to grab some cereal and retreat to my room. Megan was already there, planted in front of the fridge with her arms crossed, wearing a look like the room smelled rotten. "Morning," I said while reaching for a bowl. She didn't answer. She just stared. I ignored it. Silence was usually the safest option with her. But today, she wanted a reaction. "You know," she said, tapping her nails against the fridge door, "a decent person would say good morning properly." I let out a slow breath. "I did say morning." "No," she snapped, stepping closer, "you mumbled something, and it wasn't respectful." "There's a difference," I muttered. That was enough. Her eyes widened, her face twisted, and she screeched, "Daniel." I shut my eyes. "Of course." He storms in. My brother appeared seconds later, heavy footsteps pounding through the kitchen. Daniel was tall, gym-built, and he used his size like a weapon, mostly against me. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded. Megan pointed at me like a teacher tattling on a kid. She disrespected me again. Ariana refuses to greet me like an adult. She's rude every single morning. I laughed, because the absurdity was too much. I literally said morning. Daniel's expression contorted. "You think that attitude is acceptable? Here we go again." "Daniel," I said evenly, "I didn't do anything." But Megan had already launched into her performance, fake tears, exaggerated sniffles, dramatic trembling. And like clockwork, Daniel believed every second of it. "She's so ungrateful," Megan whimpered. "I'm trying to be kind to her, and she treats me like nothing." My patience cracked. "Kind? You insult me every chance you get." Daniel blew up. The threat. "You'll apologize to my wife right now," he shouted. "And if you don't," he stepped toward me, "you're grounded." Grounded. Like I was 12. I stared at him, stunned. "I'm 22. I don't care," he barked. "As long as you live in this house, you follow my rules. You'll stay grounded until you apologize." My hands shook, not from fear, but from the humiliation. Being punished like a child over something I didn't even do. "For how long?" I asked. He snapped back, "Until Megan forgives you. And she won't, not until you show actual remorse." Megan stood behind him with a twisted, triumphant grin, and something inside me snapped. Daniel waited. "Well," he pushed. "Apologize." I raised my chin. "No. Not for the explosion." His face flushed a furious red. "What did you just say?" I said no, Daniel. My voice stayed calm even while my pulse hammered. "I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do. You don't get to command me like I'm your property." He stepped in closer, trying to loom over me. "You live here for free. We feed you. We help you. I spat, cutting him off. "Mom and Dad help me. You do nothing for me, Daniel." Megan let out a theatrical gasp. "Wow, she's attacking you now." Daniel slammed his palm onto the counter, and I flinched from the force. "You will apologize to my wife," he thundered. "Or you'll stay locked in your room with no phone, no car, no freedom. Period." And then came the part that destroyed whatever fear I had left. "Until you learn your place." My place. That was the moment everything inside me shifted. Cold, sharp, decisive. A quiet voice inside whispered, "This ends today." The quiet before the storm. "I'll go to my room," I murmured. Daniel smirked. Megan crossed her arms like a villain savoring victory. "Good," Daniel said. "Think about what you did." I walked upstairs, closed my door, sat on my bed, and for once, I didn't cry. My heart didn't shatter. My fear didn't tremble. Instead, a strange calm settled over me. The kind someone feels right before making a choice that will shift everything. I looked around the room that had been both my cage and my refuge. Then I opened my laptop because Daniel believed he held power over me. But I had something far stronger. The truth, and a plan. 6. The secret I never told a soul. Before everything collapsed last year, I'd been accepted into a digital business mentorship program. I never mentioned it to my family, they'd call it pointless. So I learned quietly, practiced quietly, built quietly. And over the last 6 months, I started earning real money. Online work. Contracts. Commissions. Income Daniel had no idea existed. Money I saved. Money that meant escape. I opened my banking app. My savings glowed on the screen, enough to move. Enough to start fresh. Suddenly, the threat of being grounded felt laughable. Because I wasn't planning to stay. Not in this house. Not under Daniel's rules. Not with Megan poisoning the air. I wasn't preparing to apologize. I was preparing to leave. 7. But before walking out, I needed to do one thing. I wasn't someone who just slipped away quietly. No. They dragged me into a battle. And if they wanted domination, humiliation, control, they were about to learn something. I don't lose. I leaned back, cracked my knuckles, and opened a blank document. A plan began to take shape, dark, precise, inevitable. A retaliation they'd never recover from. A strike so clean they'd never see it coming. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Calculated. Strategic. And Daniel, he carried one flaw. One hidden truth. One secret Megan had no clue about. One detail powerful enough to shatter everything they'd built. And I had the evidence. I stared at the folder sitting on my desktop. Labeled Decole Records. A slow smile tugged at my lips. Today, they decided to put me in my place. Tomorrow, I'd pull their entire world out from under them. The folder glowed on my laptop like a burning fuse. Decole Records. Inside were things Daniel never imagined anyone would uncover. Things he thought were buried. Things Megan had absolutely no idea existed. Because when you grow up under a controlling brother, you learn to observe. Quietly. Carefully. Secretly. And sometimes you stumble across things you were never meant to see. 1. The hidden files. I opened the folder. Invoices. Emails. Screenshots. All pointing to the same truth. Daniel had been siphoning money, thousands of dollars, from our parents' business account for more than a year. Using it to fund his life. His exclusive gym plan. His shiny new truck. Megan's luxury handbags. And weekend hotel stays they proudly paraded as business trips. He always claimed Dad approved. He didn't. I knew because Dad once pulled me aside and asked, "Ariana, have you noticed anything odd with the company balance?" That's when I started looking. Daniel never bothered guarding his passwords from me. Because he never believed I could do anything with them. He always labeled me the soft one. The quiet one. The emotional one. His mistake. I clicked on one particular file, Hotel December. A receipt for a 2-night stay. But the guest listed wasn't Megan. It was a woman named Victoria. So Daniel wasn't just draining family money. He was also cheating on his perfect princess of a wife. And suddenly his warning, "You'll apologize to my wife," became a joke so dark it almost made me laugh. Because I wasn't preparing to apologize. I was preparing to expose everything. 2. The calm before the strike. I spent the night packing in silence. Not the entire room, just what mattered. Clothes, my laptop, my hard drive, documents, and a printed, sealed copy of every piece of evidence. By sunrise, I was ready. I hadn't slept, but I felt more awake than I had in months. Around 7 a.m., I heard heavy footsteps storming toward my door. Daniel. He didn't knock. He shoved the door open. "You're still grounded," he declared. "And no phone today." He snatched my phone right off the nightstand. I didn't resist. Let him think he'd won. Victory always tastes better when the enemy believes you've already surrendered. You'll apologize to Megan by tonight, he ordered. Or this grounding continues. I looked up at him, steady and unbothered. Sure, I replied. Tonight. He smirked and walked out. He thought he'd crushed me. He had no idea he'd awakened something far more dangerous. 3 p.m., the confrontation. I waited until both of them were in the living room. Daniel glued to the TV. Megan scrolling through her phone like royalty on TikTok. I descended the stairs slowly. Daniel shot me an irritated look. What do you want? I'm here to apologize, I said softly. Megan smirked, smug enough to choke on. I knew she would, she whispered, leaning into Daniel like he was her personal throne. Daniel folded his arms across his chest. All right. Continue. I stepped forward and set a sealed envelope on the coffee table. What's this? He asked. Something you both need to see before I apologize. Daniel snatched it up and ripped it open. The first page was a hotel receipt, Victoria's name printed clearly across the top. Megan's face twitched. Daniel went still. Where did you get this? He murmured. Oh, I replied lightly. There's more. I sank into the couch across from them as if the room belonged to me. Go through the rest. He flipped through screenshots of his conversations with Victoria, bank transfers pulled straight from the family account, receipts for business expenses that weren't business at all. Photos of him and Victoria together. Megan's breathing quickened, first confusion, then dawning awareness, then pure fury. You liar, she spat. Daniel's eyes darted to me, panic setting in. Ariana, please, just listen. No, I cut in. You listen. I leaned forward, my voice sharp and unwavering. You tried to ground me, control me, humiliate me while you were stealing from our parents and cheating on your wife. Megan shot to her feet so quickly a cushion toppled to the floor. Daniel, what is this? It's not what it looks like. It looks like you're a cheating, lying mess, she snapped. Daniel's voice trembled. Ariana. Please. Please. I raised an eyebrow. Where was that word when you were threatening me? When you told me to know my place? When you said I'd be grounded until I bowed down to Megan? He swallowed hard. Megan grabbed the papers like she was arming herself. For the first time, her eyes met mine. The usual smirk was gone. Ariana, she said slowly, I owe you an apology. I didn't answer. She wasn't the one I came for. Daniel was. Megan spun toward him like a storm breaking loose. You think you can cheat on me? After everything I sacrificed for you. You used me. Daniel reached for her hand. She yanked it away. Don't touch me, she snapped. You disgust me. Then she turned to me. Where's the original file? In a safe place, I said coldly. With backups. She nodded. Then, shockingly, she smiled. A real smile, not a cruel one. I support whatever you're about to do. Daniel stared at her, horrified. Megan headed for the door. I'm leaving. And I'm taking everything you bought me with stolen money because technically, it belongs to your parents. She slammed the door behind her. Daniel collapsed onto the couch. What are you doing? He whispered. Finishing this, I said quietly. 4. The final move. I walked past him into the kitchen, grabbed my backpack, my planned escape. Ariana, he begged, where are you going? Out. For how long? Forever. He shot up so quickly the table rattled. You can't leave. I turned to him. You don't own me, Daniel. And after today, you don't own much of anything. He trembled, not with rage, but with fear. What are you going to do? I lifted the USB drive filled with evidence. Nothing. As long as you let me walk out peacefully. He froze. But if you try to stop me, if you threaten me again, if you so much as attempt to punish me. I stepped in close, inches from his face. I'll send this to Mom, Dad, the company board, and Megan's lawyer. His breathing hitched, chest sinking. You wouldn't. Oh, I would. I zipped my backpack. And I will. Please, he whispered, eyes filling. I hesitated for a moment. The boy who once protected me when we were kids was buried under the disaster he created. Daniel, I said softly, I didn't ruin your life. You did. Then I walked out. He didn't follow. 5. A new beginning. I slid into an Uber with my backpack, my laptop, and my freedom. The sunlight felt different outside. Lighter. Warmer. Brighter. I checked into a tiny rental apartment I had secretly booked the night before. The first thing I did was buy a new phone and sign back into all my accounts. The second thing was emailing the evidence to myself, marked strictly for emergencies. The third thing, I sat on the bed and released the longest, deepest breath I'd taken in years. For the first time in forever, I felt safe. I felt unbound. I felt strong. 3 weeks passed. Eventually my parents found out everything. Megan told them herself, raging and devastated. They called me, asking why I hadn't come to them sooner. I explained everything calmly. They didn't hold me responsible. They held Daniel accountable. He lost his role in the company, access to the business funds, Megan, who filed for divorce, and the reputation of being the responsible son. Yet I never sent the evidence outside the family. I didn't have to. Daniel apologized. A real apology, nothing forced. He admitted I was right to leave. Said I deserved better. Said he hadn't realized how cruel he'd become. I accepted his apology, but I didn't go back. I built my own life, my own work, my own home, my own peace. And the girl he once tried to quiet became the woman he would never control again. Star-ending line. My brother demanded I apologize to his wife or suffer the consequences. Instead, I walked away and he learned what consequences actually look like.